Of course. A full house. We're going to be joined at 10:30 by Nikki Hastings. She's the executive director of Sivo BioHub.
That's going to be an interesting interview.
Yes. That's going to be really interesting. I mean, there's so much going on, and it's so awesome to have an organization like that here in Charlottesville. And then at 10:50, right after, we've got the father duo team of Esteban Ruiz Castillo and Alejandro Gonzalez from Ruiz Landscaping.
Okay.
So that's going to be
we'll
a
see
lot
how difficult
of fun.
it is to work with sons, because there's so many challenges there.
Speaking from experience there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Just another great Latino business that we have here in Charlottesville, and that we want all our guests to get to know them.
Exactly. Yes.
A lot of fun. And then I know we have a couple interesting, to say the least, finance topics, including one from an audience viewer.
That's right.
From the other day. So that'll be fun. So be sure to join us, share, grab your cup of café con leche, sit down and
or
share
espresso,
with your friends, or espresso,
or just plain coffee.
Or just plain coffee. Whatever,
we're easy here. Even
whatever
tea,
works
tea.
for you.
Anything works.
Maybe grab a little cortadito from Guajiros if you really need that triple shot to start your day. And then join us,
listen,
share with your friends.
It's 10:15. I mean, if their day hasn't started, boy, they're in trouble.
Let's do it. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Today y Mañana. I'm Alex. This is Xavier. We're really excited to have you joining us here today for Today y Mañana. As always, we are presented by Emergent Financial Services. We are powered by Cristel Noel State Farm Agency, and we are partnering with Forward Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So an exciting show that we have for everyone today. We're going to have at 10:30, we're going to have Nikki Hastings, the executive director of Sivo BioHub, a fun organization making some great connections here in Charlottesville.
I'm looking forward to that.
And then at 10:50, we're going to have Esteban Ruiz Castillo and Alejandro Gonzalez. They are the father-son team at Ruiz Landscaping.
I have a lot of questions for them, I'll tell you that much.
I know, as I've heard.
Why is it this plan?
There's a lot you want to know.
That's right.
Namely, how do you do this?
Why is this dying?
But I know even before we start, we've got a couple interesting topics to talk about finance-wise here today, because I know it's something we touched upon a little bit last Friday, because we had the pleasure of being guests.
We had the privilege of being on Real Talk with Jerry and Keith.
Smith.
That's right.
And I know among the topics there, we talked a little bit about how there's a reason why you would use, just as an example, that you would use a real estate agent.
Exactly.
Even if you sat there and said, oh, I should be able to sell my own house. There's so much that they can do for you that goes beyond what you might imagine the outset.
And I would say the devil's in the details, and the story we're going to tell will exemplify why it's important to either have a real estate agent, or in this case, obviously, it was a financial advisor that knows what he's talking about or what he's doing.
Exactly. So let people know about it, because this was in investment news.
So there's investment news, and the reason this came about was because these poor folks actually went to the SEC and the IRS to get a letter of exemption, and of course they didn't. And here's the story. So it was a couple, and they had children. The father had an IRA, and when he passed away, the IRA went to his wife, which is what usually happens, and the wife put it into her IRA, right? So it rolled over. No problems
Very
there.
Simple.
What she then did was, because I suspect it was a large amount, she created a trust, right? And in that trust, the children were the beneficiaries, right? So then she passes away. So what happens is, it's typical, the children come in and say, hey, you know what? We're really smart, and we'd like to trade stocks. So we want to trade stocks with the money that we just inherited, right? And the custodian of this particular trust says, well, you can't invest in stocks the way this is set up right now. So they said, okay, just move it into a brokerage account. So they did that. They moved all that IRA money into a brokerage account. What you have to understand that is, if that brokerage account is not also in a structure of an IRA,
or some type
the
of
whole
retirement.
event then becomes taxable, right? So unbeknownst to them, after a few weeks or a few days, and I don't know the details because they didn't say what the details were, after a certain number of time, they realized, I have a tax event here, right? So imagine, and again, they didn't tell you how much, but it had to be a large amount.
A large inheritance.
So imagine
suddenly your
investing,
entire inheritance
that's right,
becomes taxable in one shot.
And they literally lost it all. So I guess that estate must have been huge, and so now this portion is gone with taxes, right? And so the issue was, once they realized that, they said, well, no, let's put it back. Well, they couldn't put it back, right? So there are rules when you transfer money from certain accounts into a brokerage account. In this case, it was a trust. The minute you take money out of a trust,
you can't put
and
it back.
you cannot put it back. So they went to the SEC, and they went to the IRS and said, we'd like a letter of exemption. So they looked and said, no, there's a rule, right? So it's so important that you really talk to your financial advisor and say, I've just inherited this money, or my spouse passed away, I have an IRA,
Exactly.
he had an IRA, what's the best way to go about that? Because we all know, for example, you have money in a 401k plan, right? You retire from a company and say, well, I don't want the money just sitting there.
there
I
with the
want
company.
somebody else to manage the money. How do you go about that? Well, you can take that money, put it into a rollover IRA, or if you already have an IRA, you can just simply put it into your IRA, and you have 60 days to do that. So there is a time limit there where you can take the money out, take it out, and you have 60 days. After 60 days, if you don't do it,
Exactly. So
again,
if you take that money out and have it come as a check to you, and it sits there in your bank
forget
account for
about it.
60 days, and you forget about it, and on day 61, you're like, oh yeah, I got to move it to my IRA.
It's too late. Too
That
late.
thing is taxable.
That's
and
right.
the IRS is going to say,
That's
no,
right.
we want
not
the
only
whole-
is it taxable, remember, you also have to penalize
So
too,
the
so you
IRS
get
is
the
going to be like,
10%.
give me 10% and whatever your income tax is
Right.
on that piece. And it just goes to show you, because these individuals that inherited this IRA, their philosophy was, well, I don't need someone to tell me what stocks to buy and sell.
That's right.
Obviously their thinking of financial advisor was, well, as long as I think I know what I'm doing with picking stocks, I don't need a financial advisor. It never occurred to them that there are things that a good financial advisor does that go well beyond.
That's the key word, good,
Exactly.
because, I mean, somebody dropped the ball there, right? Because if you have a trust, there's got to be an attorney.
Unfortunately,
I suspect there's got to be a CPA in there. I mean,
Well, they were also in addition to being the beneficiaries of the trust, they were also the people in charge of managing the trust.
right.
So they were doing it all themselves. And let's face it, there are things that a good financial advisor does that go beyond just buying and selling stocks for you.
Right.
They know the rules, and they're there to be able to say, wait a second, put the brakes on this.
That's right, exactly.
You cannot move this
That's right.
trust IRA into an average brokerage account, because
Right.
you are going to make your entire estate taxable and you were going to lose it all.
That's right.
And no one was there, because they were doing it themselves. No one was there to tell them, no, wait, I'm your advisor, don't do this.
Exactly.
Just to think about what you're doing here.
And that's the key. So the important thing is, and again, we were, I remember on Friday, last Friday, when we were on the Real Talk, and we were talking about this, right? In other words, real estate agent, investment advisor, what are they there for? Sometimes you may say, I can do that myself. But again, it's the small little details, it's the small little things that sometimes that become important in
Exactly.
growing your assets and selling your home and buying your home, whatever it may be, that you can't just ignore.
Small things you don't think about.
That's
They
right.
were probably sitting there saying, well, the important thing is what stocks am I buying and selling. But there's that tiny little detail of, what's the account type?
Yeah.
What type of account are you opening? And that really, having done this, it really comes down to, is the form. There's an account application, and you check a little box that says, what's the account type?
That's right.
And if you check the wrong box, and no advisor is there to make sure, hey, what are you doing here? And you transfer it over, suddenly you have it's the one thing they didn't think about.
And beyond that, I mean, we all, it's interesting. I always love it when I see people and they go to, Atlantic City or Vegas and they come back, and I always meet people that seem to win. I mean, I've never so far met anybody that says I've lost money. And so I'm so surprised that Vegas still exists, because everybody I know wins. So the house is really challenged by everybody I know, I'll tell you that much. So the issue is that when you talk to most people, it's like, they know everything that they need to buy. They know all the stocks they need to buy. They know everything. The question is, sometimes you may know too much and make them a little mistake. So again, it's not just buying stocks. It's also, what do you do with all the money you have? Do you just want to buy one thing, two things? And we've seen this before, where we see people's portfolios, and it's like you just have one thing here, right? So who did that? Well, I don't know. The investment advisor put me into that. And you sit there, how is that possible, right? Because
one thing.
That's right. You just never know. It may be the greatest thing since sliced bread. It may have grown 1,000%, but the chances are that it didn't, because those are rare opportunities, rare situations. So again, the concept of looking at diversification, what am I investing in? What's my goals? What am I investing money for? How can you help me, right, achieve my goals or achieve the what I'm looking for, whether it be saving for a car, saving for a house, saving for retirement. That's the difference.
It is. It's just those small things those details you have to focus on. And just remembering that, when people tell you, when your best buddy's like, I'm doing so great, I bought these stocks, and people only tell you their successes.
That's right.
your buddy's not going to come to you and say, hey, I bought this and it went down 100%.
Exactly.
I lost my shirt. Don't buy it. Right?
Well, no, maybe that's the time to buy.
Maybe that's the time to buy. But that's when he'll tell you don't buy it.
That's right.
He'll think it's too late. And you're like, no, this is exactly the right time. And then our second question today comes.
Well, that wasn't a
also,
question. That was just the first part wasn't a question. That was an observation, something that we saw and read about, and we just thought we'd share it with our audience.
It's true. It was an observation. We've been some of the research we do that's brought to our attention, and then we did have a question from none other than Keith Smith himself, who asked us.
The Honorable Keith Smith,
who asked us the other day. So obviously we have been talking about interest rates,
right?
And
I tweeted.
You tweeted about
the problem with tweeting. People want to know things.
So go ahead and tell people what your tweet was.
So boy, that's a good question. What was my tweet? But I think I tweeted the fact that interest rates. So interest rates are now down. The 10 years down below 1.75%. So my question was, are we assuming that inflation is not a challenge anymore, or are we assuming that the economy is booming and therefore the economy is going to be in trouble and therefore interest rates have to come down? We didn't, why is the 10-year down so much? So I think Keith's point was, how does that relate to the 30-year mortgage? Because of course he's in real estate, right? He wants to make sure that 30-year mortgage is as low as possible. He can just keep selling homes, right? Maybe they go up, sells them. But anyway, so it's an interesting question, because in reality, the 30-year mortgage is truly targeted off the 10-year treasury. So in other words, when the 10-year treasury goes up in yield, or interest rates go up for the 10-year treasury, then basically 30-year mortgages begin to go up, because it is a reflection, the 30-year mortgage. And basically it's because it trades in the marketplace. So a 30-year mortgage in the marketplace, they say, has an average life of 10 years, meaning that your security, even though it's a 30-year mortgage, the chances are it's only going to exist for 10 years. So it's targeted off the 10-year, right? Now, the second thing that can also happen with mortgages is that spreads may widen. So in other words, the 10-year may go up, let's say, 0.5%, and a 30-year mortgage may go up 0.75%. Why? Because maybe the demand in the marketplace isn't very high, right? In other words, when you create a 30-year mortgage, when the bank says, here's your 30-year mortgage, they take your mortgage, lump it into other mortgages, and then they go sell it into the marketplace, right? If the sellers out there or the buyers out there say, I'm not interested, what has to happen, right? They have to increase that rate until the point where the buyer says, no, I'm interested now. So it's a kind of a dual. There's two things that happen with 30-year mortgages. But without any doubt, as rates continue to drop, there's a high probability that the 30-year mortgage will continue to drop. And we also talked about a 40-year mortgage. And boy, I'm so excited. I think we should have 40, 50-year mortgages. No matter what Jerry says, I think we should just have them.
Just go for it. Who knows? Remember, maybe one day we'll end up like Greece and we'll end up with
100-year mortgages.
It's like, I'll pay this back in 100 years.
That's right.
And then the bank will say, at a negative interest rate.
Here you are. Perfect.
There you go. I'll just keep giving you money to have this mortgage. crazy.
Oh, Lord.
It's very interesting times.
Just
Financially speaking.
What's that Chinese proverb? May you live in
An interesting times.
That's right. When we are.
We certainly are. We certainly are. Because there's just so much going on just in the finance space, and then also, of course, in a really exciting space that we're always excited about, which is biotech. Just being on the financial side, there's so many new things and new companies constantly popping up. And the interesting thing is, from a finance perspective, we don't see them until they go public very frequently.
That's right.
But obviously, there are even on the ground level companies that are private, that exist in local communities that sometimes you don't know about.
Exactly.
Because they haven't yet taken
the next step.
Or if they have, you may not even know that they're in your locality. So we're really excited.
This is great. I know.
To be joined by Nikki Hastings. She is the executive director of Sivo BioHub, which is a networking group that links biotech companies here in Charlottesville, but she can tell us more about that.
I'd love to find out how that works.
We're really excited to have you joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been excited about this for a little while.
That's right.
Knowing that
we work so hard in biotech, so it's great to have somebody like you here.
Involved. So let us know a little bit, for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be involved in Sivo BioHub.
Yeah, great. Well, I've been in Charlottesville almost 2 decades now. I came here for grad school in biomedical engineering at the University of Virginia. And I had this fortunate opportunity when I exited to join a company that was getting off the ground. So as you're talking about all these new startups and ventures, this was a company, HemoShear Therapeutics, that's still here and operating and doing quite well, developing drugs for rare metabolic disorders. Okay. And I got there on the ground floor and had this amazing opportunity. Wasn't expected, or the ride I was planning to be on. Kind of got thrown into entrepreneurship. And I was a VP of operations there and helped to grow the team and build the company. And through that, just realized, wow, other grad school friends were interested in connecting to other companies that were here. And we said, well, who else is in this community? And it was really hard to find out about the other companies, other spinouts from UVA, and who's here, who do you talk to? And if you're not from the community, how do you kind of break into this industry sector? So
obviously having UVA here is key, right? Because that is maybe what is the genesis, what sprouts these companies.
Oh, absolutely. The UVA has a strong presence in most of the companies, whether it's somebody who's graduated from university or that's where they've started their companies out of, faculty, founders who have started companies, which was the case of the first company I was with. But it turned out a few of us company leaders just said, we need to put these companies on a map. And it was really a volunteer basis and organization. We came around, we said, let's build a website, put companies on the website so people could find out about them. Who are the CEOs? Who are the people to contact? What are they working on? And this is everything from medical devices to drugs and therapeutics to diagnostic tools and the like. So there's a lot happening here, and we continued to find more about what was happening as we put this website up, hosted some events, and people showed up. And so we're really about connecting this biotech community, resourcing those companies, helping to tell their stories, and bring them to life and share it with the community broadly.
Mm-hmm. How many companies would you say are here in local Charlesville or Albemarle County?
Yeah, many people are surprised to find out there are over 75 companies working here. Yes. And I mean, this is everything from really early stage concepts that are to much more mature companies that are here that have larger employers are in the 100 to 200 range, but on average, it's about 10 employees per company. They can generate a lot with a small employer base in this industry. So, it's surprising to many people.
That is surprising. So what are some of the things you do at Sivo BioHub to bring these groups together or to introduce them to the community at large? Yeah,
so we host programs. We put company leaders on panels, and then we bring the broader community together for networking and hearing those stories. We go deep on a particular topic, kind of similar to what you all are doing on the financial world, just educating on different avenues for them. How do you get a drug through approval in the FDA process? It's not easy to do. And so, we're drawing in, telling stories and learning from those who've been there and been successful. And then, we have other programs that we have really spearheaded through support from a statewide initiative called Go Virginia. It's an economic development program this past year that we've been funded by. And we've built an entrepreneur in residence program. So we have experienced folks to come in to support those really early stage companies, guide them through how do you get to the next stage, what are you working on, how do you get funded, all the things they need. Very
getting funding. That's
well, we see it all the time.
Exactly.
That there are even in the once they go public, there are companies that the idea is great, and you suspect it can work, but the question is, will it last long enough? Is there someone involved with the company to make sure it lasts long enough to get through FDA testing so that it comes out the other side alive?
That's right.
So that's a key thing. So you'll bring in an entrepreneur, and does he work with, the entrepreneur in residence works with numerous companies, or you'll pair him with the company? How does it work?
The companies are often finding us at this point saying, hey, I'm starting on this concept, I'm trying to go out for funding, and we'll host a pitch event. So we say, tell us your story. We learn about what you're working on. Now we can share that story with the others in the community. Hey, there's this really cool new idea. You guys should talk to them. And then we try to understand what their needs are and connect them to the things they're looking for.
Do any of these companies share labs? Because I'm not a doctor or whatever or research in that area, but I assume that you need little tubes. Things like that. Finance. I just need a terminal. But
movies
the movies, little tubes and things,
little
flame. So do they share labs? So how does that work? Do you know?
So there are labs that some of these companies have here in the community that they've set up and funded and paid for, and the wet labs, as you're describing, is actually a need in our community. It's hard to find that space, and there's really 0% availability in the city of Charlottesville. So it's something we continue to work on, and companies will find us and we'll say, well, here's some space. We'll put them in touch with a real estate broker. They'll help them find other spaces, but generally they're having to build out those spaces. Wow. So we've been working very hard, and on one of our initiatives in the grant was to put together a development plan to build a wet lab incubator, which would be the shared space. Exactly. It's really a huge opportunity, and we've been in conversations with UVA and other stakeholders to get something off the ground here, and I think we will hopefully see that in our community, which will allow all of the great activities to continue to grow and be fostered here in Charlottesville. These companies can stay here then and operate. The great talents here. We really need that infrastructure, but
absolutely,
it's available. You just got to be kind of scrappy about it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think that UVA would be more than willing. I think they have enough money to help out with that. That's something that is so useful, right? So beneficial to everybody.
What do you want these companies to stay
here? Exactly.
They can do so much for the community being here and growing here.
That's right.
Especially since some of them, will take off and become much larger probably companies than they are now.
Yeah, for every employee hired in this industry, we did an industry report in 2020. For every employee hired, there's a 2x return back into the community. So this is something, that from a state perspective and also a regional perspective, there's interest in continuing to grow and foster this community.
Absolutely, that's
tremendous.
That's a huge return. Yeah, that's a huge return. We work in some. Yes. I've been on some chamber panels and other things where you'll hear about 1.2, 1.5,
exactly.
But 2 times return back into the community is a huge number. Yeah. It just shows the value of what's being contributed here. I'm curious, what are some of the ways that these companies connect and sort of either give back or connect with the rest of the Charlottesville community that might not know them too well at the outset?
Yeah, I think it's something that our community and Sivo BioHub is really trying to promote, is that we've wanted to keep barriers for entry to understand what's happening in the biotech industry, which can be incredibly broad and complex.
That's right.
To the broader public. So all of our events that we host are open access. You can see all of our old webinars that we've done since 2020 online. So, encourage people to go check that out if you're interested. There are amazing founder stories there, and people here in our community are doing amazing things, and you can find out about them. That's not, we're not trying to keep this closed. It's open access. We have events that, we want people to come and learn and connect in and hear these stories and meet other people. It's really that opportunity. I think other ways that we're connecting in with the broader community is through our internship program. So we created an internship program for students to come get experiences within these companies, and we've really built community around those interns looking for jobs in industry, which hasn't been done before. We've hosted 2 cohorts. We just are finishing, actually the students are all finishing up here August 6th, and 20 interns in 10 different companies. And so, we're really trying to bridge gaps between the education into industry, and I think we've been successful in that. But it's a huge opportunity to have pipeline of talent into these companies, but also for students to understand what it's like to work in a company.
Exactly. Well, and I think to share with the community, sometimes I think people have, at least what I've encountered, the average person, there's like the misconception where you hear biotech and you instantly think like big pharma. And it's not really the same thing at all. The things that are being studied, and typically, like you said, a lot of these companies start out of someone in a lab or someone in an academic setting who says, I've stumbled on something that I think can help people. It's not like a huge company with a bunch of CEOs sitting around saying, what can I sell now?
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes into it. And sometimes they're in fields, like you said, medical devices or other things that don't have anything to do with pharmaceutical companies at all.
Correct. When we say biotech, we take the broadest acknowledgement of that definition and all of the different things that are interacting and touching human health through innovation.
Exactly. Yeah, because they're changing the way that things work using for us and our health, and there's actual benefits beyond just, because we see this on the investment side. Obviously, we look at companies, and we're looking, return is part of it. But part of it, the excitement is, this company is actually doing something that's helping people. Like
exactly.
It's helping improve our health. It's not just going to have a return and a kind of growth.
Yeah, you totally get it. And so we're very mission driven to that end as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Out of curiosity, and you may not know this, but out of all those companies, what would you say is the percentage that actually eventually become public, go into the market? Yeah,
we have done that analysis. There are very few in this region that have gone public. One this year was Acumen Pharmaceuticals, led by Dan O'Connell, is the CEO of that company. He's been here in Charlottesville for quite some time, so that's a big success point. A handful over the past few years. But we do see more M&A activity actually, and we're seeing an uptick in the companies getting funded. The size of those raises in the venture space, Series A's are climbing, and companies are getting funded at $25 to $40 million in Series A rounds. So there's a great uptick in activity, but also the size of that activity is growing. There's more attention in this market than ever before. So.
Which is really good, because that's what they need to really continue their research and make sure that whatever they're working on actually gets out to people.
That's right.
So that it can help them. Any news or things that are upcoming that you'd like to share with the audience or let them know about?
Yeah, well, we're trying to get back together in person. So we're right now we're hosting some small events with the company leaders, bringing people back together. But we're really excited. We've got a fall event that we're going to be hosting out at Potter's Cidery, and we're big fans over there. And it's more just bringing everybody back together. So people can find out about our events, our webinars coming up this fall, and that big event, hopefully in person if we can have it, on the website. So that's at sivobiohub.org. And just pay attention to the news. We post our news on social media as well as the website. But there's a lot happening, a lot of activities, and really amazing things happening here in Charlottesville. So I appreciate the time to share.
So sivobiohub.org is where people can stay connected online, and then there's a Facebook page.
There's a LinkedIn page and Twitter accounts where we're most active. Yeah.
So LinkedIn and Twitter is where you will find the news and ways to get connected with Sivo BioHub, learn what's going on, get to know some of these companies that are doing amazing things.
That's amazing. 78 companies. Wow. I would have never guessed. I thought it may be like in the teens or 20s, but that is amazing. That's great. That is great. It's nice to see that.
And the community should be connected to a group like this
to
be able to know some of the major employers here that are doing amazing things. And as they get larger, some of them get that funding, become public, there's probably going to be also employment opportunities.
Exactly.
For people here, just to get to know them, So how would people get to know if they're interested in the internship program? If they're UVA students or someone who's interested, what's the way to get in touch regarding that?
Great question. I would say both for interns and job seekers, we have a jobs board, and you can post your resume on our website. We have a careers drop-down menu, so you can navigate to the internship, find out a little bit more about that, and apply directly through that. It is a summer internship program, so applications usually coming in, so thinking January 2022, but we are seeing more jobs available in this industry. We've seen 300 jobs added over the past 2 years alone here. So
that's amazing. That's great.
Find those opportunities on our website, and that's where people can apply.
That's awesome. Yeah, so go to the website.
It's a great job. You guys done a great job. That's fantastic.
That is also that you can post your resume directly to there, just connecting. How efficiently connecting employers with potential
But look what's important.
Employees.
You got to post your resume in January of 2022 for internship in the summer. You got to get there early, I suspect.
It's becoming more and more competitive. This cohort certainly was. So we hope to keep on that trajectory.
Which means a lot of talent.
Great talent, and the companies are seeing the great talent we have here, which is also great.
That is awesome. Well, talent was one of the reasons Virginia was top #1 state to do business. So talent is here. Talent is here in Charlottesville. Nikki, this was such a fun interview.
It was. Thank you so much.
I feel like
Very informative.
Yeah, I've learned
absolutely.
so much.
Likewise. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much. And be sure to check out Sivo BioHub.org.
.org.
That was fun as we go ahead and switch to our next set of desks here.
No, that was, like I said, it's, you every Thursday I learn something new, and I mean, I had no idea, not even a clue that many companies existed here.
It's amazing.
In the biotech industry. And like you and I know, I mean, we do so much research in biotech that, it's important even to just know that also.
It's amazing.
That's very helpful. Wow.
I know that there are so many here. And just so many, and that's part of that growth, right, of opportunities that there are here in Charlottesville for people to be connected to great employers with huge prospects, right? These companies have the potential to grow and do incredible things.
Absolutely.
And it's right here in Charlottesville, 78 of them.
78,
Wow. County. So many that
I didn't know that many companies, period. much
less 78 in
biotech.
Exactly. Alone. Oh my goodness!
Is wonderful.
You always learn. I think one of the beautiful things about Charlottesville is there's such a strong, I think, local business community that you're always meeting new business owners.
Yes.
And I think the same can be said also for Latino business community. How many times we will meet or Nick will bring to us, hey, did you know that there's this Latino company? I thought, wait. Another fellow Latino company that's here in Charlottesville that we should talk about.
The problem is half of the time they're working, they never come to the show because they're always working. We got to get them not to work so hard.
We Latinos, we're hard workers. What can we say, right? Do we have to? We have that. So I mean, on that vein, that's exactly where we have Esteban Ruiz Castillo and Alejandro Gonzalez. They are the father-son team behind Ruiz Landscaping, and we're really excited to have you both join us today. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hola, ¿cómo están?
Muy bien. Bien, ¿y ustedes?
Muy bien, Alejandro. That's a beautiful name.
Gracias.
I'm a big fan of Alejandro myself, of Alex myself.
Esteban también, no, super. No.
Esteban también. So tell us a little bit about yourselves, for those who don't know you, and how the company started, how Ruiz Landscaping came to be.
Well, I come from Mexico, then I got here in 1994. And since then, pretty much all my life been working in landscaping for companies. Then my old boss retired, so then I took myself to say, I'm not going to work for somebody else. I want to work for my own.
Muy bien. Muy bien.
I love the mentality.
Yep.
And Alejandro, how about yourself?
My name is Alejandro, and I grew up in Albemarle. And I always saw my parents working really hard, and I saw that they wanted to start their own business. Mm-hmm. And I'm really proud of how far they've came, because they've proven that you can still have the American dream here in the U.S. So.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the power, just the beauty of being a small business owner. You're able to work for yourself, and you can just grow your business the way you want it to look. You can do it as you wish.
¿Y cuánta gente trabajan por ustedes?
Somos tres, nada más.
Tres.
Tengo un hermano y...
Son el hermano y el hijo.
Sí, ya cuando tenemos ahí que muy ocupados y los fines de semana nos ayudan unos primos o amigos, pero en la semana nomás somos 3.
Yeah.
So definitely a
there's
family business.
A family business, yeah.
Basically,
There's
family
3 of them,
business,
and
yeah.
then on the weekends you got, of course, then you bring the cousins. And
Yeah.
we got some extra work,
Exactly.
guys.
Yeah.
That's right.
A little hand here.
That's
little
right.
hand here.
That's right.
So we didn't. This one you can know English or Spanish here.
Okay.
What would you
Okay.
say makes Ruiz Landscaping unique, or cómo se destaca su compañía de otras?
Bueno, because we are trying to do good work and affordable, with people can pay. We don't want to be rich, make so much money to be rich. We just want to help people too, and know more. And we always try to do our best to keep the customers happy.
It's
No,
important.
Chad, I know you guys do beautiful work because Nick has been sharing them on Facebook for everybody. So be sure to check it out. If you go to the Today Mañana page, Nick has been sharing all the pictures that you guys put up, and it is beautiful. And I can see like would you say it's more like it's almost a passion thing that you really love?
Yeah, because we
passion.
it's how sometimes I tell my son that some people that just go for the money, not because they want to do the job right and everything, but they're like, you have to pick where you really like to do, so then in the morning you not get out mad and say, oh, I'm going to have to go do this, but you be excited because you're going to do something new and everything.
Exactly.
¿Y qué es lo que le gusta hacer más? En el sentido de cuando va a un trabajo, ¿qué es lo que cuando ve una propiedad, qué es lo que le gusta más a usted?
De primero verla cómo se ve y cuando empieza uno a hacer el trabajo va cambiando, porque hay muchos customers que tienen ideas pero no ven cómo se va a ver, sino el cambio. Ya cuando ven el cambio quedan muy contentas y
That's such an important part.
Yeah.
I think people lose that sometimes, that an expert or someone like you both that can come to your property
And they can see.
what it can look
That's
like.
right.
Like you look out there and you see, I just have a yard. But you both come and you're like, no. You could have this. This is what this might look like. You have the vision, and then you can turn it into reality.
yeah.
Porque yo cuando veo mi jardín, yo lo único que veo es un montón de verde, hierbas malas, bugs, ¿cómo se dice bugs?
Insectos.
Insectos, un montón cada insecto creo que en el mundo están aquí en Virginia, en mi backyard, creo. Es increíble, pero es interesante ver cómo ustedes piensan de su trabajo. Es muy interesante.
No, yes, es verdad. Y on that vein, also we can go either way, because I know a lot of, we talk with Latinos all the time that they might have the dream to start their own business, or to do what you did and say, I'm tired of working for somebody else. I want to work for myself. ¿Qué consejos tienen para otros latinos que quieren ser dueños de su negocio propio?
Well, the thing is that they have to think first, like that not gonna go and start your business, you're gonna start making money right away because you have to invest and buy whatever you need to do the job. It's gonna take a couple years. If you give up, it's gonna be just wasted because they're not gonna make money right away.
That's a good point. And I think mucha gente, and I'm just going to translate what he said in Spanish. El señor Esteban dijo que cuando uno empieza una compañía, no es cosa de que inmediatamente vas a encontrar o ganar dinero, sino hay que invertir, y a veces toma 2 años, y es la pura verdad. And what I was going to say is it's true, right? And pretty much in just about any entrepreneur business, there's, not only is there a labor that you have to put in there to attract people to you eventually, right? But sometimes you have, in your case, right, I'm sure you have to buy equipment, right? And that's expensive because, you can't go out there with a little lawnmower that you push because you're going nowhere, right? So you have to buy things that work well and do the right job. And I think that's expensive.
Yeah.
Alejandro, just tell me a little bit how...
I would like to add
Sure.
that I know a lot of people might be nervous when they start their business because they're like, oh, they have a lot of questions, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to do it like this or like that. But just from personal experience, everyone should take the first step, because once you get those questions, there's going to be hundreds of other questions that you're not going to know the answer to. So you're going to have to continue to learn. So if you stick through it, it'll be really, really beneficial.
That's a good point. It's a learning process. Owning your own business is a learning process. And I'm 65. Yeah, 65. Sometimes I forget. I mean, I'm good with math, but my age, boy, that's a tough one.
Okay.
And I always feel like every day it's like, I didn't know that. I learned something, and that's why I love working, because you keep your mind and your body active. But I wanted to ask Alejandro, how it feels working for your father. I mean, I know it must be great, but I'm just wondering.
Yeah, well, I think we get along pretty well. But I really like it because, when you get older, your parents get older as well. And I really, really appreciate spending this time that I'm spending with my dad right now. And I'll be able to cherish those moments forever. So.
Did you guys hear that, what he said? I just want my sons to hear what you just said. That's perfect. Es perfecto.
With your father. No, that is true. And how is it working with your son? Like a family business?
Because sometimes we work so much hours, and it's hard to see your children, how they grow. When you see they're already grown up, they say, well, what it was, working. But it's good to have him every day.
To see him every day.
Es verdad. Lo que dijo es perfecto. Hay veces uno trabaja tan duro que va a casa. Yo dije, cuando yo empecé lo que yo hago en Nueva York y salía de la casa a las 7:30 y ellos todavía estaban durmiendo. Venía a casa de vez en cuando a las 7:30 porque tenía que trabajar tarde y el proceso de ir a Manhattan y llegar a Brooklyn, donde vivía, era 1 hora. Y a veces ya habían comido y era hora de ir a dormir. Yo digo, yo no veo a mis hijos, es que no los veo. Y es como usted dice, la oportunidad de poder trabajar con ellos, en fin, es una oportunidad de conectar y de vivir juntos, en el sentido de el orgullo de ver a tus hijos crecer y crear el negocio, ¿no? Vamos a decir.
Y conocerse. Sí, que pues a veces, por lo mismo que trabaja uno, no se conoce uno qué le gusta o qué es lo que no le gusta, y así.
No, it is. It's a special bond, I think, that's there. Because, I mean, you're colleagues, but you're also, since you're father and son, brothers, like, there's a special bond that you can, it's just beautiful to spend that time with each other every day. Then you know that no matter where, as you grow up, and sometimes maybe you'll live in different houses, you'll have your families, but you actually get to come together every day. Yeah. And every day I get to see my father. It doesn't matter where I'm going to be or when I start my own family. I get to see my dad and my brothers every single day.
And that's good. Like, really good.
It is. I guess maybe another one of the beauties of having your own business, that you're able, because a lot of times if you work for somebody else, it's their decision, right? It said, well, here's my son. It said, no, I don't want to hire your son. But in this case, you get to choose to work as a family together.
Well, sometimes teach them how hard it is to grow up and live, and they don't want to be somewhere else.
So a question, una pregunta. Durante el invierno, like during the winter months, what is it that you can do, or what is it that you do? Because I assume spring, summer, and fall maybe are your busiest season. So
we actually work with an electrician. His name is John, and he connects pools and spas. And we are the ones that do the concrete pads for him and set it up. So
you do that also?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and because of the pandemic, a lot of people were at home, so there was a lot of pools that were sold. So,
a lot of pools.
So hopefully we'll be busy during the winter season.
Nice. Okay. And spas, people were like, I have nothing to do now.
Put up spa.
Yeah. Or sometimes, they want their kids to get out of their hair a bit, so they let them go outside and do stuff like that. Yeah.
That's pretty bad, yeah. So I mean, before we let you guys go, where can people find you? podemos responder en inglés y en español. ¿Y dónde se puede encontrar su compañía o contactarles?
Yeah. We have a Facebook page called Ruiz Landscaping, and we're working on our website because unfortunately the domain name was taken. So we're trying to figure out how we could bypass that, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Facebook page and you
Maybe Alejandro y Esteban Landscaping. Although there's three actually, so you got your brother too. Is your brother part of the company too?
No, it's just.
So there you are, Alejandro y Esteban Landscaping. Perfecto.
Perfecto. So with Facebook, it is Ruiz Landscaping. I think it's to get it the exact one. I think Ruiz Landscaping 21.
Yes.
Ruiz Landscaping 21 on Facebook. You put that in there, you'll make sure you get the right Ruiz Landscaping.
yes.
You don't want those other guys in other cities. You want Ruiz Landscaping 21.
So where does the
here in
21 come from?
Charlottesville.
Out of curiosity.
I think it was just the email he had, and
Okay.
we just left it like that for now.
Go for it. Well, you can't mistake it, right? There's can
No.
only be one Ruiz Landscaping 21. You can find, and then people can just message you, call you,
Yeah.
and get in touch with you. Yeah, so be
Beautiful.
sure to check it out. There's some great, beautiful photos of the work you guys have done.
Thank you.
So, I mean, you talked about landscaping. Now we know pools, spas.
Well, not pools, but I mean the concrete.
concrete.
We know the
Yeah,
concrete
concrete.
pads.
The concrete, yeah.
And people are going to start calling them for pools.
No. Don't call them to put in the pool. But when you're getting the pool, they will come
Yeah,
and do the
with
concrete.
some
For-
patios.
Yeah, hardscaping as well.
Okay.
Hardscaping as well. Fantastic.
Muy
Yeah,
bien.
Thank you guys so much. This has
thank
been
you
a lot
for
of fun.
inviting us.
Thank you for
a
having
real
us.
blast.
Now, is this a day off?
No, we're
Now we
gonna
have to
go
go
back
back.
to
All
work.
right, right. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure you guys are working.
Yeah.
No, but with Latinos, right, the problem isn't
Yeah.
working too little. It's that sometimes we
No, they work
much.
too hard, I know.
We
No,
work too
gracias por
hard.
venir.
No,
Es
gracias.
un
Gracias.
gran placer.
Muchas gracias por invitarnos.
No, gracias por venir. So much.
No, that was
fun.
interesting. That was good. Yeah, it's always it's always a lot of fun to in addition to chat with entrepreneurs, chat with people that they were in a business, right, and then they had the opportunity to buy that business, and it's interesting because you can see in the way they speak, you can see it in their eyes, the passion they have for what they do,
Exactly.
right? Because
which is what Esteban said. You can tell when someone is not in it for the money.
That's
They're
right.
there because they love what they do and
That's
they
right.
want to do a good job. They have the pride of wanting to do a
do a
good
good job. Exactly.
with what
Yeah,
they're doing.
Yeah. And like I said, if you work for somebody and they retire, sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to do something else. But to take over that business means that you actually enjoy doing what you do,
Yeah.
and that's the most important thing. Boy, if you like what you do for a living, I mean, half of the battle's over.
Exactly. Which is it's great for you, but then it also shows in what you're in the service you're providing.
That's right.
When people love what they do, it shows up in the quality of the work that they produce.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
That's how it works.
So it's good.
So
So landscaping and
Hardscaping.
hardscape and there's three of them. Wow, they got to work pretty hard. I have
Pretty
to
hard.
admit,
That's a lot of hard work.
I've seen
that
some of
goes
the
into
garden
that.
work, and that's not easy.
It's hard work. Yeah. So especially if you don't want to be doing it yourself,
Hot, humid day.
hot, humid day.
90 degrees.
That's
100%
why you want
humidity.
That's why you want Ruiz Landscaping.
bugs all over you. Perfect. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to be out there?
That's what they do for a couple people.
Maybe you.
Maybe me. Definitely me. In this weather. So that's why I appreciate so much
Yeah.
the sacrifice and the hard
Exactly.
work that goes into doing that.
Yeah.
Because it is tough.
Yeah.
And then we've got that was fun.
No,
Today
we had
was
a great.
fun day.
We had a
It's great show.
We had a great day. I mean,
learned-
think about it from biotech companies and here here is
Another
a
company
group
just-
that puts it together
Yep.
to a small entrepreneur that is outdoors and working.
Mm-hmm.
It's again, it's to me. It's what makes this country wonderful is that all these opportunities are
American
available.
dream.
You can find the route that you want to pursue, right? It's not a situation where they take you and they say, you need to go this way.
You need
right?
to do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you decide what you want to do, and then the passion comes out of that. And I think that's the best.
And like Esteban said, you decide whether you want to be your own boss.
That's
whether
right.
you want to put
That's
in,
even the best.
And it's hard work. It takes the sacrifice. It takes the patience. It takes the time. But you get to make that decision
That's
and
right.
say,
Yeah.
I want to be
Yeah.
an entrepreneur. I want to do it myself.
Yeah.
And you can.
Yeah.
which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and yes, it comes to trials and tribulations because, in the end of the day, you're paying for that electric bill, and it's not like you go to work and you don't have to worry about that. You have to worry about, you go home sometimes and now begin to not just do your home bills, but you also have business bills that you didn't have a chance during the day because you're working.
Because you're working.
So it's a long day, but like you said, though, you're your own boss, right? You do as you wish at that point in time.
Exactly.
And you reap those benefits, and that's how you become pride. Pride is involved in what you do.
Exactly. Yeah. To be passionate and proud of what you do. There's no shame in being an entrepreneur. In fact, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we had a couple of comments today. Daniel Pettit was watching earlier. He said also 10-year mortgage on a car affected by rates.
That's right.
Which is very true. Great comment. And then Andy Toplin says she likes the bilingual interviews.
Okay.
Thank you, Andy, for watching. It's a pleasure to have you watch.
Next time what we'll do is, even if they only speak English, I'm just going to ask questions in Spanish. There you are. See what happens, right?
Imagine we bring a couple
they can just say,
sí. We'll be like, what? You didn't tell me it was bilingual? Just to play a joke every once in a while. Next time we're on with Keith, we can throw it in Spanish.
We'll invite him to the show and speak Spanish.
Invite him to the show and then show them bilingual.
Hopefully he's not watching the show, he'll know. He'll
know.
practice his Spanish or something.
So much fun. And next week's going to be a lot of fun as well. We've got two more great entrepreneur companies.
Partners here, right?
First, our powering sponsor, we're going to have Cristel Noel, who is, of course, the owner and the head agent at Cristel Noel State Farm Agency. So she's going to join us.
Okay. All the way from Richmond.
All the way from Richmond. At this point, is she not she's got to be one of the most awarded agencies in the country. Every time I looked, I'm like, is that a new award or is that the one from 2 months ago? And I said, no, it's a new one. It's another award, a new milestone for Cristel Noel State Farm Agency.
Wonderful.
So it's awesome to see. So she's going to join us.
Okay.
Tell us how things are going, share more about what she does.
Okay.
And then Colleen Han Perrone from Perrone Robotics.
Wow.
Is going to join us. So speaking of those companies doing interesting things that you didn't know about prior to, it's going to be really awesome to have her on, talk about what they do, the interesting products that they are putting out.
Unbelievable. Who found that?
The one and only, the social media ninja / chief marketing officer. I don't know if we should give him the ego of calling him that, but
if he does the job,
he does do the job.
He's got to get the credentials.
He does do the job, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Imagine
it'll be interesting when he gets in this business card. He's going to put comma this, comma that, comma ninja, comma CMO, comma who knows what else.
We'll put SMJ for SMN for social media ninja.
Okay, not just ninja.
But you really want ninja on your.
Imagine somebody comes up to him and says,
try to attack him. Just think he's a fellow ninja. Oh, goodness. But that's going to be a couple fun interviews.
That's going to be good. That's going to look forward to
something really new, and then a great friend and a great partner of Today Mañana and Cristel Noel State Farm.
Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to both of them. And of course, where could we be without thanking Jerry and Judah for making this possible? I Love Sivo Network.
And our audience.
Our audience.
Which comes up with great questions.
Comes up with fantastic questions, and always appreciate you all for watching us. And of course, Emergent Financial Services, our powering sponsor, Cristel Noel State Farm, and our partner, Forward Adelante, the premier Latino networking group here in Charlottesville. As always, it's so fun to have you all watching us and joining us. Be sure to share with your friends. Let them know about this awesome interview. Let them know to check out Sivo BioHub. Check out Ruiz Landscaping on Facebook. It is Ruiz Landscaping 21. Type it in there on Facebook and you will find them. And be sure to watch us next week as we have some more fun interviews. And until then, as always, hasta mañana.